All right. Awesome. Good Thursday evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me on the show. Um, if you were following along yesterday, everybody, you would have been caught off guard if you did not know. I had my guest host, Mr. Steve Sullivan, along with his guest, Miss Karen Markle. What a wonderful conversation that was yesterday. Um, I did partake a little bit towards the end, but that's me just wanting to jump in when I hear a good conversation and get in there and just share my thoughts because I always love, of course, talking and learning so much about new things and new people. So yesterday was fun. So again, thank you so much to Steve Sullivan and to Miss Karen Markle. I actually joined their positivity chat today. So if you have not been a part of those, do yourself a favor, get connected with Steve on LinkedIn and Karen as well. Wonderful human beings. I love them both to pieces. They were awesome yesterday. So thank you guys so much. Now, awesome. Here we are Thursday evening, everybody, and it is time to get started. So let's get all the particular information out of the way like we always do. So let's start off, guys. If this is your first time watching the show and you've picked you picked the show to start. So thank you to coming along on episode 104. So we are in the hundreds now. Awesome. And thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, you can check us out on the YouTube channel. You can see the link down there below. It is at www.youtube.com/made from scratch broadcast. Do us a favor. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit the like and subscribe button. We are always grateful to build our viewership there. We love you guys who watch on YouTube and are part of our family on there. So do us a favor, hit the notification bell as well. It'll let you know whenever we do schedule new lives, whenever we are live, and then whenever we drop new content on the channel. So if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. All the gratitude in the world. And of course, you can check us out on all our other social media platforms. You can check us out on Facebook at MFSB Live on Facebook. You can go to my profile page as well, Gabriel Leal on Facebook, and then you can go to the group page on Facebook at MFSB Live. Do us a favor, hit the big like button there. Same sort of deal. I'll let you know whenever we are live, whenever we do schedule new lives on the page, and it'll let you know notifications whenever we do go live. And again, we appreciate you so much if you're checking us out on Facebook. And of course, we're streaming live via Periscope on Twitter, and you can follow us there again as well at MFSB Live on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. We'll follow back. I've been a little bit more active on Twitter, trying to drop a few questions of the day on there. I love the little bit of interaction that I get on there. So check us out on Twitter. Thank you so much if you're watching there as well. And then check us out on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn through my through my profile page on LinkedIn at Gabriel E. Leal on LinkedIn. Send me an invitation to connect. I always try to answer most of my my own invitations. So if I don't get back to you right away, I will get back to you at some time. It's just that sometimes I do get quite a few of them, and to again try to get a hold of everybody, it might take a few days, but I do try to connect with everybody. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, thank you so much. Drop it down in the comments. I do appreciate it. And of course, we're streaming live a little bit separate on our Instagram channel. So if you're watching on Instagram on our IGTV, check us out. I do a behind the scenes sort of deal that you can see on Instagram at MFSB Live as well on Instagram. So check us out there. I like to have these one-on-one conversations sometimes with people. Like yesterday when I was live in the studio by myself, I was having a conversation with Amanda Relay Voss. She actually came on live while Steve was on the screen there. So I do appreciate everybody who watches along on Instagram. And then we got people already commenting on our YouTube, Mr. David Pollock, former guest. So thank you so much. No, that's not an Eagles hat. It's actually you know what it is. So I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to draw me off sides. So, all right, guys, now that we got all the particular information out of the way, let me get started with this evening's guest. So we're going to start a little bit different about what her journey's been. she has actually started to pivot a lot of what her normal business is. She's got a background in social media marketing, but what she's done is she started to change the way that she's going out and helping others. So what she's doing is concentrating on helping other people figure out, those who want to learn how to write children's books. So she's reaching out to children's book authors, and we kind of connected through a mutual friend of ours, Miss Wendy Gahulia, who does children's books as well. And I was actually sporting her Pika Bunny swag yesterday. So shout out to Wendy if she's out there watching. If she's not, hopefully she'll get to watch this later on. But that's how we connected, and we had a really wonderful conversation initially. And then here we are now live on the show. So guys, help me, do me a big favor. Help me welcome to the show this evening's guest, Miss Jackee Schwartz. So hello, Jackee. How are you?
I am wonderful, Gabriel. It's great to be here. And I just noticed your the background, the real deal, a real deal.
Well,
so
let's see that. Okay.
That is very cool.
So it's a play off the last name. And special shout out to a very, very, very dear friend. I love her to death. Her name is Sherry Lawley. She's the one that actually created that for me in the very beginning processes, before I even really had an audience. So she holds a special place in my heart, and that will always hang back behind me as long as I do these shows, as a tribute to our friendship. So a big shout out to her. And I know she doesn't always get to watch the show because it's very funny. It's about the time that she's dealing with family at home, and I she's always apologized, but I always thought, don't apologize. I know
life happens, right?
Exactly. Life has to go on, but I know that you care, and I know that you always reach out. So I don't worry about it like that. And she's always a really, really close friend of mine, and always will be. So let's get started talking about you, Jack.
Sure.
So let's, and one of the reasons I wanted to start out about what you're doing now, because again, it's very relative to what is still happening with all the things going on with the pandemic and everything else. So you really you transitioned a lot of what you were doing, and using that spirit of teaching, that what you love doing, and you've turned it to start helping children's book authors. So let me ask, first of all, why that particular sort of genre of children's book authors? Is it something that you've always felt a deep connection to, or is it just something that you knew that you wanted to start out with?
Well, it was kind of serendipity, Gabriel. It wasn't something that I went seeking. It was something that found me. I have a sorority sister that we were obviously friends in college, who had a long teaching career, as I did. I am a former teacher in the public school system here in Louisville, Kentucky. And of course, once a teacher, always a teacher, I always say. So that was something that was always part of my core, and that was teaching. So long story short, and if I get into the long story part of it, I'll never get out of that rabbit hole. So leave it to say that I began this journey in social media because I broke my leg. If we have time, maybe we'll venture down that rabbit hole a bit. But teachers very frequently are the authors of children's books. So anyway, back to my sorority sister who reached out to me because I have been, since 2012, building a small business after my teaching career and after having owned a corporate training company. I really decided I want to spend my time doing what I love. And this is something I found that I love. And years passed, and I got a phone call from my sorority sister, Nancy, who said, Jackee, I don't know if you know this, but I've written a couple of children's books. And I see that you do social media marketing training.
Yeah.
And could you help me? And of course, I said, absolutely. That's the answer when you think, I know nothing about writing children's books. I do not write children's books. I do marketing and help people who want to sell their books.
There you go.
And I haven't given up small business owners completely, Gabriel. They are still a piece of my market. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that was kind of a windy answer to why children's books.
But, it is interesting, again, that those sort of connections, that somebody you haven't spoken to in such a long time goes, hey, by the way, listen, I see that you do these things. And then it starts you down a whole nother path, a whole nother journey that you had no kind of thought or inclination would become something that you again would love doing and would love.
That's exactly how it happened.
Because that's the thing about life, right? When those opportunities come knocking, if you're actually prepared or ready to listen, how they can present themselves, and it can take you in a whole different direction of where you actually imagine what it would be. Because again, it's very interesting that you say that a lot of teachers are children's book authors, and I find that true. I mean, whenever I first met Wendy, wonderful lady, love her to pieces. It was interesting to hear that she said, "Well, I'm a former teacher," and I said, "Where have I heard that before?" And then I remember I had another friend that I had connected with who's written children's books, and then to find out that there were teachers, and I go, oh, well, of course, there's a correlation, because number one, they spent all their times teaching children, right? And they see where there could be lessons to be taught. There should be things that could be written down that would actually resonate with the child, and they go into that field and say, well, I can do this. And
one of my best memories from elementary school is the teachers who read to us, after lunch when there should be a rest period. The teacher would pull out the book and read a chapter every day. And my favorite one was The Adventures of Tarzan. But, those memories, obviously, and those experiences resonate and are embedded in your memory. So, books were always something I loved. I'm really surprised I didn't think about the possibility of becoming a children's author, maybe because writing is not one of the things I consider myself best at doing. I wish I were a better writer, particularly when it comes to writing copy for marketing. And that's a whole other area of expertise. Right.
But again, going into your background into social media marketing, that was a whole nother, of course, rabbit hole that you went down and wanted to start doing. Because again, like you said, it was after your teaching career, you started getting into something as big and as expansive as social media marketing. because you got to think about it. I mean, it's not 10 years ago. It was not a big a deal as it is nowadays, right? It was a different sort of game.
And it was really just emerging and finding its purpose, really. And it was, as a lot of people call it, the wild, wild west.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who got there early really did benefit from it. Because back then, let's take Facebook, for example. Anybody who got into the Facebook game really did benefit from it because there really wasn't any competition. Very few people were there. And so if they would promote something, it would sell like wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a bundle of money. It was kind of like the .com era before bust. People got really, really well off of being there early, but it has changed. And that is something that I find really interesting and fun and challenging, is that it changes just about every day. And let me give you an example of that. And of course, I'm teaching right now. I'm teaching them how to pixel their Facebook page. So pixeling is a little snippet of tracking code so that it captures prospective buyers for people who visit your Facebook page. And if you don't have that pixel code installed on your Facebook page, you've just lost that data. So anyway, I had a video all ready to go out, and yesterday I learned they've changed everything, not everything, but significant enough that I needed to do a new video on how to install your pixel code. So you have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, of course, right? And it's, again, it is an ever-changing process, so it's kind of hard to be what are those those gurus, the gurus, right? So the gurus who say, well, I can write you the 10 tips and tricks that'll guarantee growth on your Facebook page, or I can help you market your LinkedIn, right, to a certain point. These are hard things to always to write out, to continue to write out.
The dog is talking to us. Sorry about that.
Hey, I love it. This is live, lives. Believe me, I've had, Jackee, this just to tell you the truth. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I actually disappeared from my own video stream because I lost my internet signal. So that was fun to figure out for a little bit. Doing live video, this is what you get. I've had, somebody had commented, they say, down, boy, down. So good comment. But again, like I was saying, this is about and this is a whole nother tool when we're talking about social media. I think this is a whole nother tool that has yet to be tapped into with live streams. Live streams are becoming another tool to go out and start marketing and being able to get your message or what you're trying to teach out to people, because it is a direct way to come into somebody's home right there, where you can actually have engagement, where as opposed to like what a recorded video is. Not that those aren't good. Not that those are good. Those are awesome to have as well. I am a big proponent that you do that. But what I mean by that is that, again, like we're having a conversation here. So if you actually had a question and answer sort of program, right, and you did a live and you say, hey guys, if you want, I have an expert here today. If you have questions or tips or anything that you want to add it to the program, let's get out there.
Let me see if I can get him to come over. Curly, come over here. Come here, Curly.
That's all right. People love it. They know my dog. So my dog Pudding is the same sort of way. He is a big black lab with a very loud bark. So
a big voice. Yes. That's he's a golden doodle and very vocal, obviously. When he's out, he wants in. When he's in, he wants out. But going back to the point you just made about the popularity of live streams, Gabriel, one of the things that I really am a believer of small business owners doing and children's book authors doing is to start doing Facebook Lives. And here's the biggest reason why. They are free, number one. Number two, it's the only free platform or part of Facebook that will reach beyond the people that already know you, are already your fans and followers. So Mark Zuckerberg, I believe, has the desire to be the king of live streaming. So his company, Facebook, is pushing those live streams out beyond the people who are already on your page as fans or followers. So huge benefit. And again, yes, it's free to start out and you can get a whole bunch of views. Most importantly, you're establishing social proof. Then you can turn that live stream into a paid ad and blow up the people that are going to see it and get results that are exponentially larger than what if you had just done a plain old video recording.
Yeah, and it does. And I'm going to tell you, it takes. And I don't. Here's the thing. I am a big proponent of live streaming, but I tell people to not try to do what I've done, and I'll tell you why. Okay, simply because the algorithm for each platform will knock you down because you're using a third-party streaming app. And what I mean by that is because you're tapping into, this is getting technical, but you're tapping into the API. So what it is it's bouncing the signal, and so when it comes back to Facebook, it's like it's coming back from a different source. So whereas opposed to when you're live on Facebook, you get a lot more coverage. So there's nothing wrong, again, with going, hey, let me jump on the Facebook group, build an audience, build your brand, and build what you want to talk about. I suggest that for most people. But for me, is
to go to the native live right on Facebook.
Or Instagram, with whichever platform you choose. Most of them have the option to where you can get on live. The only one that doesn't is LinkedIn, and LinkedIn you have to apply to get approved, and it's still very hard. So
I have not been able. I mean, it's been months and months, and I still don't have approval. I've read that, and I know we talked about this before, that the more what is the maximum you can do now? Is it 10 minutes on a video? Okay, like
10 minutes. 10 minutes on a video is the maximum time that you can upload a native video to LinkedIn. So, there's nothing again. But here's what I tell everybody: at least start building that presence, because here's what they're going to ask you if you go apply for LinkedIn, access to LinkedIn Live. They're going to want to see what proof that you can add value to their platform. They're going to want to see also, where else have you gone on other social media platforms and done other live streams, or have you done anything else? So they're going to want proof that you've done that before. So I tell everybody, look, go start building that up. Because here's the thing: if you go and you send in an application on there, and then they say, well, we'll look at your application, where have you streamed before? What examples do you have? What are some of your work? See, that was the thing that that really got me in very quickly, because I did it with not a lot of, I didn't have a big following. I didn't have a lot of things, but what I did have was tons of content. So, I had lives from other people's shows that I've been on. I had a lot of all my material that I've done, and then I've done the native videos that I created on the platform. So when they asked me to, I filled up as much as I possibly could, sending it into them. So they had so much stuff by the time I had 27 episodes, I loaded like at least 15 of them. I put all my like native videos that I had still saved. I put on other people's live shows that I'd been on, and I had asked for tape, and I sent it all in, and I filled up the whole thing where they were like, okay, cool. We see that you have a lot of content. And then from there, it was just a matter of time about, hey, a little bit.
How long did it take for you to hear back?
It took me 3 weeks.
Okay.
3 weeks from the process of me starting, getting denied, reopening my case, that's the key. See, reopen it. Every time that you apply, when they close your case, you'll have a case number. If you go back, reopen it, and then start just putting out why you feel that you should have access to LinkedIn Live. Give them all the information that they asked for, send it in, and then from there, it's just a matter of time to say, hey, we're going to investigate all your all your work and everything else to see it. And once they see everything that you've done and all the platform and all the content you've created, and it's content that they think will add value, it won't take very long. But I say have all that stuff ready to go.
Yeah, and maybe that's where I went wrong. I didn't give them everything. For example, on my YouTube, I have a couple of different YouTube channels.
I gave them everything.
One, Planet Einstein Art for Kids, which is totally different than my Planet Einstein Digital Learning Lab. But, I have another one that's just Planet Einstein, and it has probably close to 200 videos on it. So, I had it out there, but I really didn't give them the details of all of that.
Oh, I gave him everything, because I knew
that's what I probably where I went wrong. Okay,
and I proved to a lot of people at that point that, look, you don't have to have a number one huge numbers, but you do have to have this good content, a good message, and again shows that you have the capacity to go do a live stream show and everything else. And I think once they see that, they really go, okay, this person really needs LinkedIn Live, and they'll add access to it. And before you know it, you'll be streaming live on LinkedIn. Plus, I was a little bit of a different exception, because I kind of told them I do it 5 nights a week. So if you give me access to it, it will be getting, I promise you, it will be getting used. So since this happened, and I remember what episode it was, episode 38 that I had when I first got my access to LinkedIn Live. So since episode 38, it's almost been, let's see, former episodes would be 108. So almost be 60 videos that I've done on LinkedIn Live, and since I've gotten access to it. So again, I'm giving a maximum use, maximum value to going on the platform, and it's helped me build a lot of relationships, and it's where I have my biggest following as far as people who I'm connected with. But I do, again, I tell, if you really want to work on doing a live stream, I tell people pick whatever you feel is your strongest platform, and start from there. Work it from that angle, and then see how far it takes you, because each platform has their own algorithm, how they decide what statistics.
Absolutely. And that have you ever heard the expression in terms of the differences between Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. Real quickly, you may have heard it, but maybe not everybody has. Think of LinkedIn as the cocktail party or corporate networking event. Yeah. Facebook is the backyard barbecue, and Instagram is more the beer bash.
Exactly, right. There you go. And because there are,
I always tell my students and my customers, find where your customers hang out, and that's where you need to be. Even if you prefer Facebook and they're on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So, and there are many ways you can do that, but know for sure where your customers are and then go there.
So it is true, right? It is each one of, that's why I say find a platform where you feel that you have a strong connection with a lot of the relationships that you built on there. So if it is on Instagram, guess what? Start building that presence and learn the best way to maximize how you can be effective on Instagram. So doing your lives and, of course, building how your profile page is built and what you spend on your stories and what you build on your IGTV. There's so many things that you can concentrate on in that certain platform. So each one of them has their own different quirks at work. Let me tell you what, events do not work the same on LinkedIn as they do on Facebook.
Right.
People will be drawn to a Facebook event in such a huge way. And a LinkedIn event was more like a ghost town sometimes. Even it's harder to draw people to an event like that because it's something that they're not used to yet, where it's been happening so long on Facebook. When somebody creates events, boom, they know, hey, Facebook has made it an art to where connecting with somebody through their events is so much easier.
And, Gabriel, one mistake I made that maybe I can help somebody avoid the same mistake is I thought I needed to be everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I took courses on Instagram. I took a course on how to use LinkedIn. I've taken hundreds of courses on Facebook. And I mean, my brain was just ready to explode after years of this. And now I'm telling people, and I'm following my own advice, to focus on the primary platform where your customers are. You can do a little bit if you want to and see how it works for you, but focus on your main one platform. And something I was going to share with you that we talked about before we went live is my beta course that I just launched on Monday. So if it's okay, I want to talk about that for just a minute, because it combines something I haven't tried before, and I think it was a big mistake. So I don't know about you, but I've always learned a whole lot more from my mistakes than I have from my successes.
I think that's par for the course for a lot of people.
So anyway, I decided I am going to test this out before I put it out to the world. So I put together a hand-picked group of, one is a children's book author. The rest are in different businesses, different areas. I have a professional musician. I have a wellness coach. Anyway, 10 people. And I am putting them through this no fluff, I actually called it Cut the Fluff, Get Customers course. And it is a 5-day crash course that we are eliminating all the stuff that doesn't work, going right to action on day one. Well, it started Monday. And one of my biggest reasons for doing this beta is to learn from the people in the course. Number one, is it going to work for them? Are they going to get results? Well, today was day 4. And on day 3, I realized I'm not giving myself enough time on the complicated or more complicated parts for novices, and all of them are novices, to get it. So I have been reaching out and doing one-on-one coaching with those who really were stuck. But already I've learned 2 huge lessons: that I need to give myself more time, and I need to be more sensitive to the fact that people don't like to admit that they're novices and don't know, and that they're struggling. So tomorrow is our final day, and I've already told the group of 10 that we are going to extend 1 more day because I feel like they need it. And I said, if you don't succeed at this, you're not going to give me very good reviews. So
Right.
My job is to make sure it is a success and you get results. So anyway, it's been a wild, busy, fun, exhausting week. So
but that's the fun part about doing what you're doing and teaching and getting people to understand and learn the process, right? And yes, here's the thing, right? Like you said, not everybody's going to get a grasp on it. And a lot of people do not like to admit that they are novices. But here's the thing: if you accept that going into the learning process, you start opening up more, and you're more flexible with what can be taught to you and what are the things that you're going to take away from each lesson. I know because I went through the whole process of learning how to do this. I tell everybody, I promise you, I did not have a background. That's one of the hardest things people do not understand is I did not have a background in technology. I did not have a background in video production or any of this. I was 100 complete greenhorn. I was a novice to the T when I started doing this, but I was open to listening, open to learning, and learning from other people's experiences is what helped me get a better grasp on what I wanted to do. So I think that's wonderful that you see that and go, you know what? I think we need another day, guys. I think there's so many other things that we can go along, and you'll be able to get value out of what we can do. And I think if more people would be open to it, they go, yeah, I know I would be. I would be like, heck yeah, I got another day out of it. And it's something else that is going to help me learn the process to get me into the direction that I want to be headed. And that's the whole thing about taking these courses is to want to get to the point where you can feel comfortable on your own doing it, and at some point you go, hey, I'm actually pretty skilled at this. I could probably help somebody else, and that's the whole point about saying, okay, now I can pay it forward to somebody else.
And you know what? That's exactly what my process was at first. Because I had had such a bad experience with someone who charged me a whole lot of money for no results. Wow. You and I talked about, I broke my leg and I was laid up for, again, long story, complications, 3 months in a wheelchair or on a walker. And I started taking online courses. I found that I loved it because even if I wasn't going to do it myself forever, right, I needed to understand as a business owner that I need to be aware of what a good campaign looks like. What is social marketing supposed to do for me? And what are my expectations? And am I being realistic? And what kind of budget do I need to give it? And all the details. Now, if I want to outsource it to somebody else, I will know what to look for, and are they doing it right? So that's what I tell my business owners. Even if you plan to outsource it, you need to understand how it works.
Right. What are you actually getting? What kind of value are you getting for the money that you're spending? I mean, that's the whole point, right? I mean,
yeah.
It would be such a waste to say, okay, I'm going to outsource this to somebody, and for them to just give you unnecessary, unguided analytics of what have they been producing. I would at least want to know, okay, what are my KPIs? What are some of the things that
we're getting no report at all, which is what I got. No data. No, I didn't know you were supposed to be looking at data. I mean, talk about naive.
Right. And that's the whole thing, right? That's one of the things you learn about when you start this whole process. And again, that's important to really go investigate, at least so you know a little bit about what you're talking about and what you can know and to expect from somebody who's doing, quote unquote, you're handling your social media. Because I started learning a lot about the analytics myself, because when I started doing this, I wanted to see kind of what to chart my growth
right
on what each social media platform is. Now, some of them the analytics are a little bit harder to get on some of the platforms, but like an open platform like, say, YouTube is great for finding analytics. I mean, if
they make it very simple. Yeah.
Oh my God, their process there. I wish if I could say something to every other single social media platform, do what YouTube does whenever they deal with it. They give you everything. And I mean, your audience size, times, click-throughs. They give you everything that you would absolutely need to kind of judge your channel and go, okay, these are things that I work on. These are peak hours. These are good times to do video. These are bad times to do video. So you learn, you take that information and you learn how to really grow and build the content to what the analytics tell you works for you. I wish more platforms did that, but that doesn't always happen.
And I think that's one of the challenges with Facebook, and particularly paid advertising. They make it way too complicated. And I don't see any reason for it to be that complicated. I mean, they're smart people. They have some of the smartest employees and engineers, and I mean, people that really know the stuff. Why do they have to make it so difficult? And even their analytics is hard to interpret. And you have to go in and customize columns according to what are the statistics that you want. And even running a darn ad is not easy. I'm teaching tomorrow. That's what I'm teaching my group, to put a basic Facebook ad up and get results with it, spending $5 a day. And I am not going to take them beyond that because they're not ready for it yet. But where Facebook gets really complicated is when you get into custom audiences and lookalike audiences, and knowing how to use all the data that's been collected. And when you're setting up conversions, do you go with a stand? Again, you could really, really, really have to spend a lot of time studying this, which I do, but it changes on a daily basis. So, um, again, I would stick with the basics, which is why I called my beta, cut the fluff. We'll do basic, and then we're going to follow up with email nurturing sequences after generating the lead with a Facebook paid ad.
Yeah.
So we're taking them off of the Facebook platform and getting them on your own turf with what are called opt-in forms. Yeah. So I'm doing a first one for me. I'm doing a quiz that what is your spirit animal when it comes to social media marketing style?
There you go, right?
So if you want to know that, you take the quiz and I get your email address when you opt into that quiz.
So let me ask, that's a quick question. So Tom's kind of comments, it says, Facebook is not a place for advertising for businesses. So Tom, in your experience, right, and I want to put this out there, and I know it'll take him a few minutes to answer, but what do you suggest are some of the better social media platforms to, if you wanted to go and at least broach the subject of advertising? Because it's always interesting to me to hear, people will tell you where not to, but my thing is, what's some of the data that kind of proves that which platforms work better for using advertising? And of course, nothing's better than free, right? So taking the opportunity that a lot of these social media platforms offer you, I mean, that's why I say a live stream, it's free. So if you can really connect with people and engage and and build an audience, I mean, there's one way that's one way to already draw leads in, is to talking to people like what we're doing now. I mean, and again, it doesn't really cost you anything except for you to have the message that you want to share, the time and the effort to put it into there, and then go from there and see where it takes you. That's why I say social media has so many different tools. I still say live streaming is one of the most underutilized tools yet, because nobody's figured out the correct or the best way to use it as a tool to help monetize and build businesses.
I think maybe I have a start, Gabriel. Let me tell you what, and I'll address Tom's comment too. Tom, I think the biggest problem with what people are doing on social media with advertising is the very nature of what social media is all about, and it's about relationships. Most business owners are going straight to a selling post. In other words, here's my wonderful product. It's the best in the world. Buy it. And you are treating that customer just like somebody you go on a first date with and ask them to marry you. They don't know you yet. They don't trust you. And no, they're not going to marry you yet. Okay. You have to court them, and you have to start out by giving and serving, which is, Gabriel, your whole big deal with what you're doing. You are serving people who are coming into your fold because they appreciate that you are giving them great information. That's the same thing you do. What our cut the fluff course beta is all about is using a live stream to deliver the opt-in. Then you get them off of the Facebook platform because you don't have access to them anyway. Facebook owns them when they're there. But if they opt into your form, they are now your property. You can retarget them. And once you retarget people who have shown interest, you've got a warm to hot audience. And that's where you get results, not with a cold audience. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that makes tons of sense. And again, here's what one of the most, like I said, one of the most wonderful things, and why I think you can utilize a live stream like this is because, again, like you said, there's so much value that you can bring and information that you can bring across to people, and it doesn't always have to be. I mean, some people like it to be industry specific. I understand that for some folks, it works for what the purpose is. But I just love to bring value across just about anything because I think that's what life really is. Life is about everything. And when I mean everything, it means not only your specific industry, but again, it's a lot of things dealing in a corporate world, what it is to have emotional intelligence, diversity and inclusion. All these things that I talk about are big things that are being incorporated into big businesses now. So I think that's why coming on the show and bringing these subjects and whatever people find value in, I love to share that with folks because it's going to touch each individual message, each individual guest is going to connect with somebody in a whole different manner than last night's guest or tomorrow night's guest.
Absolutely.
And this is why I say, go ahead, Jackee. I'm sorry.
I was going to say the diversity of these topics is what I think makes your show so appealing. But one other thing I was going to say is that my heart goes out to small business owners who are really struggling right now. I mean, a lot of them are not going to make it through these tough times right now. And now is the time to be giving. And I am practicing that in my own company. And I hope, all of your followers are as well. And I know you are, Gabriel. So, lead by example, serve.
Right. I mean, that's one of the key things that my friend, Mr. Matt Gagnon, kind of told me. He always starts out a conversation by saying, "How can I serve you?"
Right.
I love that.
Yes.
Simple rephrasing of how you say something to somebody opens up the door and the way you conversate so much differently with somebody. So when he opens up and he says that to me, I already feel at ease and going, okay, this is going to be a wonderful conversation, or whatever is going to happen is going to be great. So, and again, I feel the same sort of way. We are going through tough times, and even some small businesses, they're going to have to learn how to operate structurally differently now because of everything that's going on. And the ones that are able to adjust and transition are the ones that are going to find a way to make it. And
I was just thinking this as you were saying that, the ones who can overcome whatever the fear is that's paralyzing them. And probably half of the 10 people I have in my beta, when I ask them, why are you not doing Facebook Lives? It is the most productive thing you can do. And they said, I just don't want to be on camera. And I mean, my answer to them was, get over it. Do it scared.
Exactly, right? I mean, because this is the thing about operating now in the business world that we're dealing with now. Overnight, you had to transition schools, you had to transition teams, you had to transition the way that you operated your business from being in an office, kinetically speaking with people, being face-to-face, all of a sudden having to learn how to operate a camera and learning how to be part of a Zoom call or live stream or whatever it is. So I think to that point is, yes, you got to get over that fear of being on camera and start talking. Here's the wonderful thing about it, though. Once you start doing it, you'll start feeling like you start feeling where you don't even pay attention to the camera no more. I got a camera right in front of my face, and I don't even pay attention to it anymore because I've gotten so used to it. I will admit, it is tough the first few times you're going to do it.
Yes.
You're going to feel odd. You're going to feel weird. You're going to feel a lot of things. But that's every experience that you've ever gone through in life. Learning how to walk was not the easiest thing to do. Learning how to swim or ride a bike or drive a car was never the easiest thing to do. But after you've done it so many times, you don't even think about it. I mean, how hard of it?
And I've learned to use a couple of crutches. Now, I don't do this as much now as I did in the beginning, but I always had this fear of just going blank, and going, what in the world was I talking about? So I take a piece of usually, paper like this, put a piece of Scotch tape on it and tape it to my light pole right here that has my outline and in bullet points.
Yeah. Now I used to do same sort of deal, and I'm going to show you. When I first started, and I keep all these notes, but this is what I used to do. I used to write a bio right up like this, if you can see, and this is one of my friend Andrea Sanchez.
Right.
So I would go and I would put the questions and have everything put down, and I would take the time to do that because I was always like you. I was nervous, going, first of all, what if I go blank? What am I going to say? How am I going to? I've learned over the time to say, you know what? I can just open my mouth and talk, and
but not everybody can do that, Gabriel. Some people just, and when that happens, they panic.
Yes.
It's worse than they break out in a cold sweat.
I understand. But these are things you learn about yourself, though. I mean, how are we going to learn if you even have the ability to do it? I didn't know I had the ability to do that, I've learned to become an active listener. I didn't know I could do that when I first started doing it. And I realized later on in my journey that, yes, I can actually sit down, not have really a lot of notes. I just put a lot of time into taking in a lot of the information prior, remember what I want to say. And then from there, I go and I start having the conversation. Now, I can go back and work inside of a structure. I tell everybody, you work with what's best and comfortable for you.
Absolutely.
Do not compare yourself to anybody else. I do not compare myself to, somebody that we talked about, like with Sunny. She does a different thing than I do. Pat Flynn does a whole different thing than I do. But of course, they've been at it a lot longer. You can tell that they're better equipped and skilled in certain things because they've done it repetition over and over again. Now, if I've done that after 500 episodes, okay, I understand where they're at because it's taken the time and the practice and the effort to do that. But that's for each individual person to go out and learn how to do and how to operate. But I tell everybody, open your mouth and use your voice to build and share and do whatever, and you'll find out that you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. I'm speaking proof of it right now. I tell everybody, you didn't know me 4 months ago. I promise you didn't. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew anything about me until I opened my mouth and started doing this.
And that brings me to following up what you just said about being an active listener. I just read something yesterday, and I've been practicing it the whole time we have been conversing here, is being an empathetic listener. Right? Most people listen to see what their response is going to be to what you're saying right now, instead of taking it into their head and their heart and empathize and relate to what it is the other person is saying.
Exactly.
Yes,
it is something to do that. And I've learned that whenever I have somebody on and their story really goes deep into their journey, and they really share painful or sometimes traumatizing experiences, to hear it, feel it, and in the comment you go, wow, because it really touches you on a whole nother level than just having a conversation. And but let me tell you what, those are 100% my favorite conversations.
Yeah.
Because,
And um, and sometimes it's therapeutic to everybody to concerned to
yes,
get that out in the air, in the open, into the universe. You know.
yes, yes, and it is. I agree. That's why those are really my favorites because, again, I get so much healing. I learn so much about not only their story and their journey, but about myself. And at the end of all of them, I get a different perspective on how I see life and how I process things. And taking those from just being an active, empathetic listener, you go, whew. I mean, it really takes you to a whole different level where you, afterwards, you really have to take a deep breath and go,
Yeah.
wow.
And one of my biggest challenges, since we'll bear our soul, I've had a very blessed life. I mean, I had an ideal childhood. I had wonderful parents and grandparents. And so one of my biggest struggles in changing in midlife in terms of my career path. And one of the first things that somebody said to me when I went to an event, that was a Chamber of Commerce business expo, and one lady walked up to me, and I think she was well intentioned. I don't think this came from a mean spirited place, but she said, "I hope you don't mind my asking, but how did somebody your age get into social media marketing?" And after I slugged her, no, that didn't happen. But I did make a complete about face in terms of where my mind was. I mean, I was not a numbers girl. I was never somebody who looked deeply into analyzing something on a statistical basis. And, so much of social media is looking at analytics. So this has been a very difficult journey for me. And, having self-doubt, am I good enough? Do I know enough? Am I ready yet? It took me 2 years to finally create my first online course. I went through, some of you may know Amy Porterfield, but I went through Amy Porterfield's class one time, and the tech stuff just threw me for a loop, and I didn't get it done.
Yeah, for those who don't know, she was Tony Robbins'
content creator
for a while. So
and now has $10 million plus course creation business. She's the best. If you ever want to create a course online, Amy Porterfield. But anyway, again, there's a story there about how I used a mantra and would go out on my back porch every day and say, I am capable, I am worthy, and I know what I'm doing. And, and on to say that, I am going to be successful. But it took me a long time to get there and believe in myself.
Right. And that's the thing about is what we do as students of learning is that we always, even though we learn things, we go, wow, am I really good enough to go out and do this? So, and the thing is, I just tell everybody, yes, you are, and you won't really know, and you won't know how to answer that question to yourself until you go out and do it. That's the only thing that you can really do, and nobody can answer that question for you but you. And as much advice somebody wants to give you, as much as somebody teaches you, you can only go so far as you allow yourself to do. So that's why I tell everybody, look, I've offered this platform to so many people. People have actually taken it where I say, look, if you really want to build your voice, here's the deal. I do the technical thing. Last night was another one of those where I said, I do the technical thing, put the show together, do all the graphics and everything else. What I need you to do is come talk. Let's build your voice. Do the things that you say you want to do, and find out whether or not this is going to be for you. If you're curious, so
sure,
right?
Yeah.
And I've offered this platform so I've had. Let's see. I think that's where I first met you, Jackee. You were. It was actually Wendy who, graciously enough,
was guest hosting for you
the show for me that evening, and she was having a conversation with Anna Savino, and Wendy was one of the first ones, besides Megan, who's another one of my guest hosts, who were the first ones to say, "I want to try it," and they came on here, and ever since then, I adore both of them because they really want to come back and they really have a good time doing it. And that's why I say now they've done it a few times. It's so much that other people see it and go, I want to try it now. So I have a few other people who are in the loop who want to give a hand at doing it again. And I always tell everybody, look, this is one of the best things about me having this forum is that I get to share it with as many people who want to be a part of it. So and I promise you, no other show does this. No other show has said, no other show has said, whoever you are, you could be an undiscovered product. I don't know. But if you feel that you feel the want to come on here and talk, the forum is yours. You let me know. I put everything together. You find your guest, and then you come on here and you have a conversation, and I make it as easy and as hassle-free as possible. And again, and they're always fun. I enjoy them. I really do enjoy it because I get to sit back and have a personal conversation on Instagram with somebody who might be there while my guest host is having a conversation on the show. So I enjoy them. And I'm not going to lie. I get to sit back and drink my ice cold water and just watch and become a spectator. I become a spectator like everybody else.
Well, I laughed so much with Wendy. I think Anna was her guest. They were. Then you two came on at the end with them and just totally cracked me up. I mean, in my classes, we probably spent half the time, no, not half, but a good chunk of time today laughing. If you can't enjoy life, why bother? So,
I'm with you.
Let's have some fun with this. If we make mistakes, we're going to learn something really good.
Exactly right. That's the whole point of it all. All of it is to be able to do that. So, all right, Jackee, one last question before I end the show, and I've asked every guest except for one. And because it was a slip of my mind that I didn't get to it because we were having such a very connected conversation. But here's the question: so when the book is said and done on Jackee Schwartz, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, and what do you want to be remembered for?
I think life is all about love. And that I loved well and lived well because I did love well. So
what a wonderful, you know what? And it's that simple.
Yeah.
That simple is the way that you can answer that I've lived with love, and I hope that's what I'm remembered for is the love that I gave. So wonderful answer, Jackee. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It has been truly a joy, Gabriel, and I really appreciate your inviting me to be your guest. So thank you.
Thank you. And you know what? The dog didn't bark too much, so awesome.
No, he finally said he's right here beside me asleep. Can you believe that? So
we had so many blessings in this conversation. So thank you, Jackee, so much for taking the time to come on the show. And for everybody else who came along, Marissa Brown, thank you so much. I enjoyed you last night on the show with Joe Need. Tom Chrysler, thank you, David Pollock. Everybody else who joined on the show, you guys.
Yes, thank you.
You guys are the lifeblood of everything that I do. So, Jackee, sit tight. I'll have a few words with you afterwards. Everybody else, I will be back tomorrow evening, 7:00 Central Standard Time. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace, love, and harmony. We'll get through this united together as people. Good night, everybody.